can be cruel, poetic, or blind. But when it's denied, it's through violence you may find
Justice. The answer's justice.
Come on, vengeance. Let's get into some trouble.
Well, we've got some really exciting news now.
Nice.
Hey, yay!
I can't accurately explain my excitement for this video.
Well, for those that are avid viewers, our regular inmates in the asylum, great news. Once again, we have been asked to pair up with the lovely folks at Iconique Brands. And again, we'll put the logo, the name, and everything up on the screen because it's not spelt traditional sort of way that you'd spell Iconic. Michelle and her team have extended another invite to the asylum to come and join them for the movie premiere of
The Batman.
and for those that have been watching the show for a long time know that you in particular, not only are you a big Batsy fan, but this one you've been quietly optimistic for and just slowly building up your excitement there.
For sure, dude. I know a lot of people were like doubting Robert Patterson and there was the Twilight jokes and stuff, but like you look at it and it's like, I think Twilight was like 15 years ago or something, and he's like done a whole bunch of other stuff. Like he was in Tenant and all this other stuff. So
so he's a much more accomplished actor, and I can honestly say I enjoyed him in Tenant. I thought it was very good, the character that he played. I just don't know if he is the Batman.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a good Bruce Wayne. Dark, broody, a little bit. Yeah, I'll have to see it. And hopefully I am wowed by him in that particular role.
I don't know if we want to do...
let's talk a little bit about, before we give our speculations, let's talk more about, let's bring it back to, for those of you that, I think there are still tickets available for this particular premiere with Iconic.
See, Michelle did say that they're running out really fast, which seems obvious to me.
100%. I know that they recently did Uncharted, and like she blinked and the space was gone for Uncharted. So we didn't even get an opportunity to connect with her on that, and there was no space left.
Yeah.
I think there are still some tickets left. Look them up on our social medias. We'll put links in there to their Facebook, their Instagram, all of those things. We'll even flash it up on the screen, all the details for the event. It's happening, I think, at Monte Casino Cinemas.
Yeah, I was going to say that's actually really cool. Like, I know this might come across mean, it's not, but like the last premiere we were at was Clearwater, which is like, it's far way out for us.
For us, yes. Don't know about other people.
But Monty just feels a lot more central. So
yes, agreed. Definitely agree there.
And what's cool is if you guys didn't check out our previous videos, you buy a ticket, you get like a Funko Pop, you get snacks, you get entered into like little prizes. It differs every event. So it's really worth it. And like you can tell like there's a whole bunch of fans that go there. People are like shouting in the crowd and they're so amped up.
And not only that, it was just the energy before we even went into the cinema that I think was quite special. We commented in our last review video about Spider-Man No Way Home about how slick we felt they organized everything. You know, they adhered to like COVID restrictions and or precautions. The folks that attended, like Mark just said, now they're fans. They're hungry. They're eager for the film. So there's this energy there. Like you mentioned, I think they were roaring, clapping, cheering.
Yeah.
In the last movie that we were there, I anticipate the same. I'm guessing. I actually forgot to ask her if they're doing another cosplay like thing. For Spider-Man, they definitely did. And I would just encourage folks, if you're going to go watch the premiere, dress like a bat, who knows? Or a Riddler.
Yeah, or like any of the Rogues Gallery. Like, dude, Batman has like such a wide...
Definitely. if not the widest. Probably.
It's literally Spidey and Batman, in my opinion, that have
Agreed.
like the coolest villains. So
Definitely. And villains with depth. Villains that are not just, I'm doing this because I want money, or I'm doing this because I'm hell bent on world domination. There's normally...
the world must end.
Yes, there's normally deep-rooted darkness and things to his villains, or psychosis, etc. So I'm with you. It definitely makes for a more interesting hero when he's pitted up against these, unique villains, shall we say. Yeah. And not all superpowered, not all like fly around the city and destroy it. Just everyday people that are just, one or two things wrong with them, barring one or two, like a Mr. Freeze or whatever. So, it's a well-run thing. It's an exciting event. What are your thoughts? For those that haven't seen, like you say, Robert Patterson is the Batman. I forget who's cast in other roles. I'm
really bad at their names. The dude that Riddler was in Once a Slave or something like that.
We'll put his picture up on the screen.
I forget his name. So many big actors, dude.
Colin Farrell?
Colin Farrell's the Penguin.
Right.
It's still low ranking. They say it's going to be like a little kind of starting to be an origin story for him.
For the Penguin?
Yeah, that's...
Okay.
Main villain is the Riddler.
Okay.
Don't know Commissioner Gordon's name, but he's also a big actor.
Nice.
Falcone is a big actor.
Oh, they've got Falcone in it as well.
It's Penguin's going to be like an underling like to him at the moment.
So that's very similar to how it was in like the Gotham type of a story. Okay, nice.
And then there's I don't know her name, but it's Lenny Kravitz's daughter, which is Catwoman.
Zoe.
Yes.
No, it's Zoe Kravitz.
It could be.
Right. Yes.
And there's Andy Serkis is Alfred.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And he looks like he's going to be cool.
That's an interesting choice for Alfred. He's, in my opinion, he's one of the best actors, physical character actors ever born, let alone just generally. So I'm interested to see how they're going to do that, because he's not old per se, but I suppose Alfred doesn't have to be. Just slightly older than Bruce.
So what's interesting, dude, is like, and this is where I don't want to spend too much time here, but I think it's really relative to what we're talking about. Is that it's a new trend. I'm trying to get hold of it. I don't know where to get hold of it, but they released a Batman prequel little novel / comic. That if you want more depth into where the story's picking up from, because it's not going to be an origin story, they're diving into like just still like kind of, I don't know, it's speculation, but year 1, year 2, like he's been Batman for a little bit, but he's still figuring it out.
Okay.
So the prequel, for those who might not get to read it and want a little bit more info, I'm here. Apparently, there's also an audiobook version of it, which is obviously easier. But in a nutshell, what the story they set up is that from a young age, you'll see like it kind of skips time to obviously just catch up and starts them young. And then apparently the Waynes leave their mansion and they turn that into the sort of Wayne orphanage. And the Riddler, young Riddler, goes there. And already there's this resentment that builds up because it still is the Wayne residence. And it's almost like they've got it's the way they see it is it's constantly being rubbed in that they're living in someone else's house. Okay. So, and then they like talk about sort of the psychological play, and like Riddler starts to see Bruce as this spoiled rich kid, and the Waynes in general. And then time goes on. And I think like Riddler is like kind of passed down, like typical story, gets bullied, never fits in, has to be like a pizza delivery guy. And then Bruce Wayne, obviously the thing happens with his parents, and then they actually go a similar route to Gotham where Alfred trains him because Alfred was in British Special Forces. Okay. But then I might get the chronologicalness of this messed up. But anyway, he learns to kind of fight, but then he starts, he gets hold of like an old muscle car. And he starts because he likes experimenting, and they also emphasize on how the only subject he liked in school was chemistry. The only one that he like really took interest in. And then when they moved to Wayne Towers, where Wayne Enterprises is, they apparently moved to like the penthouse or something. And when his parents die or whatever, he eventually, long story short, finds like a a hidden like passage that's like an underground railway that they used to use as their private transport to not have traffic, and it's been closed off. And so starts the Batcave, and he starts like experimenting there, and then he gets an old muscle car and he starts like fixing it up himself, and it's apparently very important to him that he doesn't put any money into it. He's got to figure everything out himself, and he wants to make it like a supercar, and he actually starts street racing.
Okay.
And apparently they set up from there where people see him and they're like, oh, Bruce, you stupid, like rich kid. So already there, he starts in a very simple way, disguising himself, putting a hood over because he doesn't want people to know the side of Bruce that's assumed of him.
Okay.
And they start setting up this whole thing. And then apparently he goes off to college and he will study something and kind of not get bored of it, but finish it. And he apparently goes from country to country studying. And at the same time, he's learning different martial arts. He makes a habit. And that's, so they're kind of building on how he becomes so quick and so agile. And it's not only Alfred that made him this master.
Sure.
And then he
Which is a similar-esque kind of story to the Nolan Batmans, where Bale was going all around the world looking for something and eventually finding the League of Shadows.
Yeah. So, and again, I've probably butchered and maybe missed a couple of things. So I would advise if you want more like insight to the movie that's coming out, go. I think the audiobook will probably be more accessible for us to find on the net somewhere,
probably,
opposed to the comic.
Yeah.
But dude, I don't know where to start, man. I'm super pumped. I'm super excited, and I think it's also coming from a bit of a naive place. It's been a while since I've had like that Spider-Man spirit, and you know, like I love Batman, so like right now I'm probably a poor judge because any Batman movie is just going to psych me up. But it does seem dark and gritty and like very brutal. And apparently they're leaning into the more detective side of him, which we've been talking about for ages that they've just neglected. So they've got me there already, but I want to talk about if it's cool with some like, so there's also rumors going around like mad. And apparently these are the really hardcore dudes that like look in every nook and cranny. There's been rumors, I don't know his name. He was in Eternals. Quite a youngish guy.
I haven't watched that movie either.
And
no desire to.
I'll put him on the screen.
Yeah.
And like people are rumoring that he's going to become the Joker within Matt Reeves' universe. So, and then it got further. So what, I don't know if you've seen any of the trailers and you've seen Colin Farrell's transformation, how he looks completely different as the Penguin.
No, well, I've just seen pictures and stuff, how he put on weight and the makeup and everything to make him bigger and everything like that, yeah.
So now what's crazy is the dude that I'm talking about is listed on the cast list, but as a unseen Arkham prisoner, okay? And everyone's like, okay, what's the deal with that? But then what's crazy is now, this is how deep dive it like people have taken. If you look, the prosthetics person for Colin Farrell, because it's major, dude, that same prosthetics person is labeled for the unknown Arkham prisoner.
Okay.
So it's like, why would someone need major cosmetics and prosthetics and stuff like that? So obviously people are like, he's got to be the Joker, but I've got a bit of it can be cool, but what about Two-Face? Two-Face would need prosthetics too.
Sure.
And it could be like a cliffhanger of some kind to like, because some reason I think Matt Reeves might not, because like he started with the Riddler and everyone has gone, the Joker. And I think he's going to play it like with the other villains for a while first because the Joker's just been like, you know, it's touchy like stuff. For
it's almost like the go-to with Batman.
So I actually think Matt Reeves will go like Mr. Freeze first, Two-Face, or again, carry on with Penguin. There's so many other options he can go because apparently they're talking about a trilogy already. So... And then there's spin-off series that HBO are doing about just more about the Gotham thing. So it kind of feels like Gotham, but I don't know. Apparently it's going to be different.
Okay.
But yeah, so man, like a lot of like speculation. And so again, we need to check in on this. But apparently they say there's no post-credit scene, but there's a reason to stay after the credits. So I'm like, that makes no sense. So I don't know if it's just like a little audio clip or something that they're going to leave there or not
to see.
Yeah, so a lot to be psyched about, dude. I so badly want to go watch the movie. Like I can't explain to you. I'm trying to not hype it up for myself, but I'm invested.